My name is Liz Powell, and I am one of the founders of the Breast Cancer Early Detection Coalition. I'm also the founder and head of G2G Consulting. And we are a lobbying firm, and we're leading the lobbying efforts for the coalition. So we do these monthly calls. It's always the second Wednesday of the month at 12 o'clock Eastern Time. Open to all. Anyone can dial in. All are welcome. And then at 12:30, we do just the steering committee call. And if you haven't joined the steering committee yet, it's not too late. We'd love to have you join, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So we're just going to go over some slides real quick and then have some Q&A and discussion. So next slide, please. So this is what we're going to cover today. We always start with our patients, and then we're going to give a little bit of a recap from our previous call and what's happening in Washington, talk about our advocacy efforts and next steps, and then open it up for discussion. Next slide, please. So today, we are honored to have Mayma Carmo kick things off. She is an amazing leader for all of us in so many ways, but has really targeted breast cancer as the issue that she is tackling. She is raising awareness, she is educating, and she is empowering women to change their own lives, to find their voice, to make a difference in the world. She is an amazing, amazing leader. I am so honored to call her a friend. She has inspired me so much. I did a post on her book. It just moved me to tears, to laughter, to like a deep place in my soul. So she's just an amazing, inspiring person. And we are so honored and thrilled. She is on our leadership team for this coalition. Yes, lots of applause for that. So without further ado, I'd love to pass to Mayma to take the stage and share your story.
Well, first of all, I am just beyond honored to be amongst all you amazing women. Um, I um, I will be 20 years cancer free next year, and I always share that because many women don't have that privilege, and I know that with privilege comes responsibility, and that's why I do this work. So I'll share a bit about me and my story and what inspires me. My mother was a nurse in Liberia, where I was born and raised, and I literally grew up in potty trained, watching her train women who become nurses in Liberia, people who walk from villages and who didn't have cars. They'd be in these buses packed with people, and they come to her to teach them how to become nurses to go back to the communities and help others. And so I literally I grew up with her going to do rounds in the hospitals and seeing people who had great privilege get what they needed and come and go. And there were those who didn't have privilege, who may have been abandoned by a parent, couldn't afford the treatment. My mom would hold sick babies, people who were in wheelchairs. She would help find them better equipment. And I just remember her holding people a lot, sitting with them, and she loved her patients. They weren't just her patients; they became her family. Many of them became people that we had dinner with, and they came to our house, and we gave them jobs, and that's the way I grew up. My father was a commodities trader, and he was a farmer's son. He was the first to go to college in his family and get a job, get a career, and become successful. But he always gave back. He once he made it, he had a rice business, and he would people who were poor and less fortunate, if you had rice and something to eat, some chicken, whatever, you were good for the week. And so he would give people free rice on the weekends, and that kind of grew from one to 10 to a lot. And I'll just say this and I'll move on. When the war happened in Liberia, we escaped the wars twice. And whenever we would escape, he would go back. And I would say, Daddy, why do you go back into the war zone, the fire? And he said that people who are less fortunate than us, who couldn't afford to leave, we have to go back to give back for them, even at risk of our own lives and our own expense. And so that was how my parents were. And they just always gave back and served other people. And the last war that happened really quickly and happened so fast that my parents could only afford one ticket. The house got ransacked. And I came here at 15 years old alone on a plane, on a flight, a 15-hour flight. There was no internet, no Wi-Fi, no texting, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, Pink Sky, nothing. It was just me on a plane. And my parents said that they choose me with that one ticket because they realized if they couldn't make it at some point, that I would be the one to make a difference for our family and carry our name forward. And I got here, and for months they weren't here. At some point, they came over, but all that they taught me kind of coalesced during that time. I ended up getting got joined a church. I joined a church and I began volunteering. And you may ask, why would you be a refugee and then giving back? But that's was who we were, who we are. And so when it came, we ended up doing more church work. I taught kids in the church. I was an acolyte. I volunteered, did all these things, and I was just happy to be alive because if you don't have your health in life, you have nothing. And so fast forward, before I go into that, I used to always ask God, how do I serve people and how do I make the world a better place? Because all I saw around me were people going through inequities, and I don't know what those words were at the time. I just thought it wasn't fair, right? And when I came to the States and went to the White House, it wasn't white, and if people were by the White House and laying on the ground who were homeless. And I thought, why are people homeless in the capital of the free world? Didn't seem right to me. And so my mom said, "What do you want to do for a living?" And I said, "I want to love people for a living, love people and give back." She says, "Well, people don't pay for loving people, so you're gonna be like, that's gonna be a hard job to keep." But I said, I talk to God a lot, and then, mommy, I think that that's what I'm meant to be doing. And so I just kept always asking God, how do I serve you? And how do I serve you? And I began a journal where I would jot down every day. I would pray and then I would ask, how do I serve? And what would my life, what is my purpose in this world? And so one day taking a shower, I was singing Diana Ross, Ain't No Mountain High Enough. I loved that CD. I loved the whole that whole epic. That CD was pretty much, it was fire. And I played every morning. And then I was singing and showering and I felt this lump in my breast. And I remember feeling the lump in my breast and my world turned a few shades darker because I knew that didn't belong there. My mom, when she told me breast exams at 13, she said to me, do your exams every month, you'll know when something's wrong. And so I knew immediately something was wrong with me. I saw my OBGYN and I told her I wanted to get a mammogram. She said that I was too young, but she would push for me to get it. The insurance companies denied me. They said that the guidance said the USPSTF, NCCN, ACS, all of that was you don't get breast cancer until you're older, right? So I didn't fit the guidelines. So I paid for it out of pocket. The mammogram came back, and they told me that I was asymptomatic and I didn't have it was a cyst, and to go home and come back when I was older. But I knew my body enough to know that I had to push, and I pushed for almost another 6 months. After a year of pushing, I got a biopsy. It turned out I had stage 3 triple negative breast cancer, which had no treatment in any setting. And I can go into Tiger Lily and I'll share that at some point why I did it. But imagine that you're a woman who's younger on the cusp of beginning your life and you're doing all the right things. And there are all these people who are making up decisions for your body that don't look like you, represent you, or think about you or that you matter. And although I did all the right things, I was going to die just because, right? And so I really believe that, you know, um, I believe that challenges show you who you are, right? And there's a quote by Wayne Dyer that I share a lot. And he says, when you squeeze an orange, what comes out? And when I first heard it, I'm like, duh, Wayne, like orange juice. Like, what the fuck, you know? And sorry guys. And but what he meant is when you're squeezed, when you squeezed in life, is what comes out is who you are. People always say cancer changes them. It doesn't change you. You become who you were meant to be. People show you who they are when they're mad, when they get caught up in traffic, when they're having a bad day. You represent who you are. And when I was squeezed, I realized that the plan that I had, that God had for me was huge. And the prayer I'd been praying all those years to make a difference in the world and love people for a living was manifesting, but I didn't know what the hell to do. And I was like, God, what do I do? And the answer was just to love. And so I was in my second treatment, and when you're being that I am a woman of color, I ended up taking AC and Taxol, and they threw everything at me they could, and I had horrible side effects. So I went from being an athlete, training to compete as a weightlifter and running, to being in a bed, sweating, throwing up, diarrhea, nausea, my fingernails falling off, sweating, and I get out of bed and see that my bed sheets just sweating and dirty from just like my body was shedding cells at a rapid rate. Um, and so my body was falling apart, and I just thought, people go through this. Like, what is happening? I had done a lot of walks for the pink people in breast cancer. I'd done the walks and runs. Nobody ever talked to me about what cancer felt like and looked like. No one talked to me about that I would lose the person that I thought I was going to be with for the rest of my life. No one told me about the fact that I would lose who I thought I was and I would lose faith in the world. No one taught me that people didn't think about people like me and the importance of creating treatments targeting our bodies, which is why we're dying more than people who are other colors. No one told me that I could leave my daughter, without a mother at 3 years old who would never know me. And I was just so alone and I was so scared. I was terrified. And for me, the only way to make a difference and to ensure that women who felt this way, because I didn't know anybody who was my age, stage, or color. And I was so alone, and a lot of my friends didn't come by because they were afraid to see me like that. This is what it was back in the day. And so I thought, you know, when you're in a dark space and you light a match, then you become the light, right? So I could either sit there and be in the darkness and just be like, let this succumb to this thing, or I could become the thing I've been asking God to become. And I love the tiger lily flower. The one I love the most is called the stargazer. It's a perennial, and when the fall and winter happens, the petals fall off. Like women's bodies, you lose your breasts, your ability to have children, maybe your hair, eyebrows, eyelashes. But when it becomes summer and spring and summer, you're blooming, you're transformed. And women can become more beautiful, stronger, and transformed during their journeys because we that juice comes out, right? And we blossom and grow. We germinate the flower that we are, and we spread love like we are on this call today. And so in the midst of that time where I felt I may have been dying was when I came to life. And when I realized that my legacy was to help other women realize that they could be more beautiful, stronger, and transformed throughout their breast cancer journey. And so I named the thing Tiger Lily to give women hope, to give them a place to come to and a place to realize that their lives were sacred. Many of us get up in the morning and turn on our phones and go to the bathroom and wash our faces and shower. You just go about life, but there's billions of things that have to happen in our lives for us to be alive while we're sleeping and to be able to breathe and our hearts to beat and our eyes to blink. And I began to realize the importance of not just the disease of cancer and how to treat that, but that our lives are sacred and how do we honor our lives in these moments of going through, cancer. And so Tiger Lily really began to come out of my desire to give women a safe space to come to breathe, to exhale, but to remember who the fuck they are. Like, we're not just passive women getting disease that are victims. We are strong, we are fearless, we are warriors, we're resilient, we give birth to nations. And we're beautiful and we're so powerful and our strength is in our softness and our beauty in our being woman, right? We're the foundation of families. And so I began going to schools after during my lunch break to talk about breast cancer. And I've been going to churches and little by little the thing grew and I had some point like 300 volunteers. And the mission really is to educate women, to advocate for and with them and to empower them to be fearless advocates when it comes to themselves, their families, and their communities. Today we are I think in 2023, we educated about 400 Black women to become angel advocates. And those women reached 2.2 million women in their communities alone. Those women, just those patients did. Our clinical trial worked to reach 500 million people last year, 500 billion. We do policy work. I really sat there after treatment. I came home one day and I went to the uh, Office Depot and I got the post-its and I put them on the wall. And I thought, what would the nirvana look like in healthcare? It looked like women who use their power to create change and to transform the world and to have tables where they weren't tables, bring them there, throw them down, bring our crowns and get shit done. Um, and I wanted women to be in every room that was possible with science and research and policy and advocacy and clinical trials and all the things. And back then, no one really took patients seriously in the way that they are now. So it was very scary. You'd be in a room and I say triple negative breast cancer. People are like, what's that? Like, what is that? We don't know what it is. It's the good cancer to have. No, it's not good. And so I really wanted to make sure I kept saying the words over and over and really empowering women who didn't belong, felt like they belonged in the rooms to know they were belonging in those rooms. They should be in the rooms. They should act and be empowered. And so one thing that we did is we're the first group to take Black women to San Antonio breasts in mass amounts. and we had a really powerful activation there. Now we do a Hill Day every year and do a lot of policy work. But I'm most proud of the fact that, when you think about, I know I'm running out of time, but when you think about your life and your legacy, um, we I know that I was born to do hard things, like I know that the work we're doing is not easy, but we're born to do hard things with our hearts. And we're born to do hard things. And I really want to thank you all for having me. And my goal is to really ensure that we reach women all over the country this year. We're launching a program soon called One in a Million to reach a million women about their health care and to be empowered. We're living in a world now that where our healthcare system is being threatened, where our freedoms are being threatened, where our ability to be woman is being threatened. But they have no idea who they're playing with because they're not like us, right? They're not like us, like Kendrick Lamar said. And we have to know that we can stand up, we can rise, and we can be the change that we seek in the world. Um, as Liz said, I've written a couple books. I ended up getting on Oprah some kind of way. I don't know how that happened. And she's like, write a book. So I did. It became a bestseller. And so I really want to empower women and girls to know that if you dream and if you walk into a desert or a forest, if you dream and start to walk, the path will become, right? You don't often have what we're doing now with this coalition, there is no path. We're creating the path. And when I began Tiger Lily, there was no path. I had to just take a step in faith with my eyes closed and go, okay, God, should I go here and do this and do that? And the path opened before us. And so in this time especially, we are the light, we are the way, we are the path. And I want to honor all of you in your work and your commitment. We lose women every day to breast cancer, and that should not be happening in this day and age. But because of what you're doing as well, there are many who have not lost their lives. And so I'm just proud to be a part of this. I'm proud to be alive. I'm proud to be living my life as a testimony to what's possible. And I'll just say in closing, I tell my advocates a lot when they're scared, I say, if I am possible, so are you. And if you all are possible, there are many of us who need to hear this message that we're putting out about breast cancer and early detection. And this work has to continue. And I'm just thankful to be here to be a part of this and to share my story and to work with you on transforming women in healthcare and making a difference in our lifetime. So thanks for having me.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Just amazing. And Leslie Yerger had shared her journey on our last call, another amazing patient advocate
She
leader.
is a baddie.
She is. You're both baddies. I mean, hey, if we're swearing, badasses, right? That's what,
I
yeah.
got a potty mouth, Liz. I'm sorry, but I'm not
I
sorry.
love it. Bring it out, man. Bring it out. Or woman. I shouldn't even say man, but
Yes, yes.
yes. Okay. So amazing, amazing. Real quick, if we could put up the slides again, just a real quick recap. So, um, where we are now is we are working with congressional folks on reintroducing legislation. So let's just go to the next slide. I'll show why we are so passionate about this. I think most people know why this is so important. Breast density matters. The kind of screening you're getting matters. Up to 50% of women have dense breasts, and you can see why you can't even see the tumor if you're just using a mammogram alone. So this is what drives a lot of what we're doing. But to be clear, we care about the holistic journey from that early detection through to treatment. We need much better, more humane treatment options as well. And we need to ensure women are thriving. They survive the cancer. It shouldn't just be surviving the rest of your life. It should be thriving the rest of your life. So we care about that entire journey. I just wanted to clarify. Okay, next slide, please. Um, okay, so our advocacy efforts. So we're monitoring all that's going on, and we know there's a lot of chaos going on. So we are tracking all that. We're tracking these appointees going through that process in the Senate. We are going to start working on setting action alerts. We're going to organize a Capitol Hill Day. We're going to organize meetings, all kinds of things, prepare testimony, engaging with media, social media. We're going to do a special workshop just on how to do effective social media with Sally, our queen of social media and media. And we're going to plan private events with congressional folks and activate the grassroots movement, and then train advocates and folks like Tigger Lily and My Density Matters and Brem Foundation. There's amazing organizations out there already doing training, so we just want to feed into that. And they're also doing testimonials where they're collecting great testimonials and then turning those out to educate others. So we want to be additive to that. So just we'll all be collaborating on that. Next slide, please. And we've got a strategic roadmap that I've crafted. I'll share in more detail on the steering committee call. But we've got a target list of who we want to work with in Congress. We want to educate them and advocate for screening coverage. Because right now, in about half the states, if a mammogram is insufficient for primarily women with dense breasts or women at higher risk categories, the insurance companies do not cover getting that additional screening, which is an MRI, an MBI, ultrasound, any of those technologies that are out there. And so we are trying to get this legislation called Find It Early Act to require all insurance companies to cover this so that all women are having access to the technologies they need for early detection. So we've got a whole strategy around who to talk to in Congress to try to move that forward. We're also going to be working on fact sheets that we can all use when we do meetings, whether we do Zoom meetings like this or just send in communications. The status of the reintroduction, we're actually doing a strategy call on Friday with some congressional folks to get that determined. We're hoping it's this month, and that after once it's introduced, we can all work to lobby to get as many co-sponsors as possible. Um, so I talked about grassroots and then fundraisers. Next slide, please. Okay, so what you can do, you can get on our email list. Super important that you join um, our email list, which is on our website. And you can join as a volunteer or you can join the steering committee. We'll talk about that in a second here. Keep dialing in every month for these calls, and just participate in our events. So I think at this point, we're now thinking of an online briefing in April and then an in-person in June or July, depending on getting a room, which is what we're trying to get right now. So next slide, please. Joining the steering committee. So I'd love to pass to Smita.
Hi, everyone. Smita Asrani. Um, I want to encourage everyone to get involved with our coalition. You can join the steering committee online. Joining the steering committee will give you an opportunity to influence healthcare, insurance companies, actually be on the Hill and support legislation, for example, like the Find It Early Act that we've been talking about and that we're working on. So we have several membership options based on the size of your organization, anywhere from 2,000 all the way up to 1 million. And you can find that at bcearlydetection.org in the Join Us section. Also continue to log into these calls. We have the monthly calls every second Wednesday of every month at this time at 12 o'clock. And I believe we have an update from Leslie, who is the CEO of My Density Matters. And
Thank you, Samita.
Yeah.
Are you ready for me to go? Yeah. So thank you, everybody. Again, Leslie Yerger, CEO and founder of My Density Matters. And I just want everybody to know that we are having our 5th annual Find Out My Breast Density Day. And we've been doing this for 5 years in February. This is our 5th time, but we've expanded it to not just today, but about a 3-week period from starting February 19th all the way through International Women's Day. And it's called the Know Now campaign. We want every woman to know their breast density now, and that's what it's all about. And we're going to have a challenge this year. We have a little trailer that we'd like everybody to share and see right now. Madeline, can you show that right now? Awesome. Do you know?
Sound. Madeline, we need sound.
Yeah, I think you've got to share.
Something that would have been very important. I
Madeline,
know now what breast density is because I had breast cancer.
That, do you know that? I want you to know something. If I had have known my breast density from the very beginning, I would not have had to go through breast cancer 4 times like I did.
No way. But it turns out I didn't know, and I had dense breast tissue and didn't know about it.
Know the facts and save your life.
I know my breast density. Because I know, my conversations with my doctors are different. My surveillance is different. Knowing is empowerment. Knowing gives me time, and I'm glad that I know.
So I know that my instincts and my doctor did see me.
I encourage you to get to know your breast density because breast density matters.
Know your breast health. Let's join the Know Now Challenge.
Thank you. And that audio was not quite right. So that wasn't quite what it did come off quite like we wanted it to, but I'm not sure what happened with that when we watch it ourselves and the audio comes out different. So anyway, we're still in the challenge. Please join us. And we want every woman to know their breast density now, starting February 19th. Thank you.
It might be good to put the link in the chat box, Leslie. So
You
people,
know, I don't think anybody can post anything to the public right
okay,
now. I can put the link in, but it just goes to panelists, so we need to fix
Leslie, when
that.
you launch, are you going to send this video to all the members to be able to share on social
Yeah,
media?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
then it's
Sorry
me,
about that.
Leslie. I can post it to everyone. I have no problem posting to everyone in this chat box.
Okay.
I
All right, we'll do.
And it's on My Density Matters LinkedIn, right? Also.
I put that in
Yes.
there already. Yep. Okay, so any questions from anyone before we shift over to the steering committee? I see a hand. Yes, Bridget Greening. I guess you can't talk
Wait,
though.
sorry.
Maybe post the question in the Q&A box.
While they're doing that, hi, I'm Vanessa. I'll just let everyone know that if you are interested in learning more, you have very specific questions, we encourage you to reach out. We have an email, hello at BC Early Detection Coalition.org. It's just our website. Someone will put that in the chat. And certainly, if you have thoughts or questions, please feel free to reach out to us on that email, and we can even direct you to some of these organizations that you've heard about on our call today, as well as when we are going to be doing some of these Hill Days, we definitely want people to be participating. So if you have an experience or a story and you live in a specific state, we want to know about that so that we can plug you into the right meeting at the right time virtually and help you get involved in those ways.
It did
There's a question.
a question or any options to connect with Novartis given their Super Bowl ad. Who loved the Super Bowl ad? Yeah, it was amazing. I was like offended at first, like, what the hell? What's this thing about boobs everywhere? And then it had that ending, and I was like, oh my God, yes, that's exactly it. We way overemphasize boobs, and yet we don't talk about our actual, breast health and breast cancer. So I thought it was awesome. Yes, we're already thinking about ways to team up with them. So if anyone has a connection to Wanda Sykes or any folks there, would love to chase that down. So love that post there. Okay, and so it looks like people are having trouble posting in our chat box. So we'll correct that for the next call. Thanks for your patience with that. We will make it work better. And then Bridget posted, here's a link to an interesting update from the Federal Register. So people catch that. And I think that we're going to wrap up this open to all call. And so those that are on the steering committee and leadership, you guys have the links to dial in to a Zoom meeting. So we will shift to that at this point. But do email us. Vanessa did put in the email address is hello at bcearlydetectioncoalition.org. Or you can email, me directly, any of us directly. So thank you all for dialing in. Thanks for being advocates. join the steering committee, get on our email list, and together we will take charge and make a difference. So thank you so much. Bye.